pining for an ex-girlfriend. And in the next...
Yes, it's about moving on. That's what that movie's about. He's moving on. It's about character growth. How did you miss it? It's almost like you're doing this intentionally for fucking views.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello again. This week, I have a couple requests that I need to get to. I actually have one recorded I need to edit. I didn't really like how that one felt recording it, but lots of times I don't like how they feel recording it, then I actually look at it, and it's actually fine. That's how that rant turned out. I was concerned as hell about that rant. Then I watched, I was like, this turned out pretty well. I think I got my points across. It's not perfect, but it never is. Never is. If you search for perfection, you'll never get it. You just gotta shoot for pretty fucking good most of the time. But, yeah, gonna go ahead and get to a request this time. This is a super recent request, so I do want to get to older requests. If there's a request I haven't gotten to, please do me a favor and actually post in the comments of this video, because I know there's a request that was asked of me a while ago, and I can't find it, so go ahead and just put that down, because I don't want to miss request. If I haven't gotten to your request yet, it's not because I'm like, fuck you guys, I'm not doing it. It's because I just misplaced it and can't find it in the comments. But anyways, new request. Nerdrotic's Love and Thunder trailer reaction just dropped, putting that on the list. Yes! Yes, I will happily watch Nerdrotic, because he's not cringe at all. He and I are very good friends. We're like this. Sure. Why not? One thing I do want to say about Nerdrotic, man, he knows his cringe fucking thumbnails. I guess, I mean, they do draw your eyes to him. I will say that for him. He knows how to make a thumbnail that'll draw your eye to it, but fuck. It's cringe. It looks awful. Ugh. Just looking at it, ugh. But, you know, it's kind of like his whole channel. It's the car wreck theory. It's like, it just looks bad, but sometimes you just look, and you gotta look. But here we go. Oh, man. Female Thor Love and Thunder, more cringe. MCU bait and switch from Disney Marvel. God, MCU. Yes, of course he says it in MCU. Why not? Why not? Sure, MCU. Everything's MCU. Why not? Here we go. I love that. So what was that? It's essentially before they were white men and now they're women. God, what the fuck, man? Like this Jane shot. What is wrong with that Jane shot? That looks badass.
Jane?
That Thor shot doesn't look great, though.
Nerdrotic.com.
Feels like it was just yesterday. That's not exactly true. It does feel like it's been almost 3 years since the introduction of female Thor. And I know Taika Waititi doesn't like it when we say female Thor, but I'm guessing the fans didn't like it when he said he would ruin our mythos in a minute, baby.
For the first time, female Thor. Female Thor.
Female Thor.
What are you, f***ing stupid?
Yes, indeed, it.
Okay, so was there a tweet or something where he doesn't like female Thor? I don't know. Like, to a degree, I get it, but I don't know. It's Jane Foster Thor, I guess, would be more proper. It just gotta be a way to differentiate them, and she's been the only woman to take up the mantle of Thor, so female Thor. I mean, I don't have an issue with the word, and yeah, I mean, we've had Eric Masterson Thor for a little bit, so Jane Foster Thor's not a huge deal. By the way, I am reading that comic book. I do want to do a comic book review once I finish, comic book, graphic novel. When I finish that whole graphic novel of Jane Foster Thor, I'm going to want to do a review on this channel, so that should be fun. But so far, I'm really digging the graphic novel. But anyways, we'll get to Nerdrotic and more of his cringe.
It has been 1,042 days since the introduction of female Thor at San Diego Comic-Con, when Taika Waititi got on his knee, and he was still as tall as the 5'3" Natalie Portman, and handed her a Mjolnir that was half the size of her body. It was the
So why does the height matter? Why bring that up? Jesus.
early days of the MCU 2 years and 10 months ago, and a few of us were trying to warn you then that this is something we've all seen before in the all-new, all-different Marvel, and it looked like the MCU was...
Yeah, I've been noticing that. I said I wasn't going to do any more Comicscape, but all this is Comicscape for the MCU. It's just saying goddamn shit. Nerdrotic would probably get along great with Ethan.
Gonna pass up decades of great stories that sold in the millions to rush to an era after Disney purchased Marvel filled with woke garbage that sold in the thousands.
Well, okay, comic books selling in the millions is super rare. Even at their most popular, million sellers happened, but they were rare. But it's been a downward decline long before they started experimenting with new characters. And I've already brought up before, the whole point of experimenting with new characters is to kind of see if they take off and then do them in the movies. That's the whole point. When they experiment with a new character in the comic book, and that character does well, they'll put them in the movies. Thus, we're getting Jane Foster Thor. Because I would love it if Chris Hemsworth stuck around for a while, but he's not going to stick around forever. Robert Downey Jr. is already out. Chris Evans is already out. Gotta think of ways to bring on these characters, and I guess you could always argue there's a recasting option, but I would counter argue with that. Like, what are we gonna do with the character of Tony Stark at this point? How much do we want to really just have Tony Stark doing the same old shit over and over again? Because for a while, I feel like essentially, largely since Iron Man 3, he's been at the point where, oh, I can put this all behind me, and then he goes back into it. Oh, I'll put it all behind me. Oh, and goes back into it. There's not a whole lot to do with the Tony Stark character that's interesting. However, maybe we'll see what they do with Riri Williams, who is a character I'm not familiar with, but see what they do with him.
Again, some of us tried to warn you, including yours truly and Eric July, who has the best "I tried to warn you, but you didn't listen, and now you're all going to look like a bunch of crackheads" facial expression. Interesting timing with this trailer. It almost seems like Disney Marvel wants you to forget about the last one they just released. Let's go take a look at that She-Hulk ratio. No, it's not ratioed, but 400,000 dislikes, and I'd like to remind everyone, and Disbrew pointed this out on Friday Night Tights last week, that the downvote extension is simply an algorithm. While it was close...
I didn't know there's a downvote extension. That's interesting. Yeah, okay. I didn't know that was available at all. And also, fun fact, did you know ratio proves whether or not something's right or wrong? Did you know that? If you're ever wondering if something's right or wrong, just look to see if it gets ratioed. Ratio is the almighty judge of all things. No, it's silly. I think I gave it an upvote, the She-Hulk trailer, because I think they're going for the right vibes with that. But that CGI needs work. It needs work.
To being accurate on, say, my Lord of the Rings videos for some reason. With the Marvel videos, that's not really the case. You guys are seeing 289 dislikes, but I really got 701. Like I said, the timing is interesting. We have the Miss Marvel series just a couple of weeks away, and it's almost like they really want to bury it by releasing this trailer, getting some good buzz for Marvel, and releasing Kenobi a week ahead of Miss Marvel on D+. We also need to take into consideration that the streaming bubble, in turn, the Hollywood bubble, officially burst back on May 18th. So that can't be good news for a streaming service that still...
It officially burst on May 18th? By the end of the brutal trading day on May 18th, Wall Street had developed had delivered a wallop to Hollywood that would change the course of business as surely as COVID-19 pandemic accelerated the pace of transformation during the past 26 months. Wall Street is not rewarding subscriber growth anymore. Now, one of the things that does really piss me off about Wall Street is it's all about how these investors feel about a company. It's not about any actual numbers, which is so weird. That's why Wall Street is a really bad metric for like if a business is working. Yeah, the Netflix thing was big news because they raised their subscriber cost. All of a sudden, a whole bunch of people left, which was 100% predictable. I'm at the point where I'm not sure if I want to keep Netflix. I mean, there's a couple things I still want to cover on it. I guess I want to cover Stranger Things. But yeah, it's kind of it's definitely the most expensive of the streaming services, and you don't really get what you pay for. They're like hell. You know, HBO Max will have at least for me, HBO Max will have a lot of the DC and Warner Brothers stuff. Disney Plus has fucking all the fucking Star Wars and Marvel stuff. And Netflix has original content, and they aren't really pushing it like really good quality content a lot recently, which is a little discouraging. But, you know, we'll see how it goes.
Streaming bubble, in turn, the Hollywood bubble officially burst back on May 18th. So that can't be good news for a streaming service that still has yet to release She-Hulk, The House of Harkness, Echo, and Ironheart. It's too bad times change faster than, say, for example, a corrupt multi-billion-dollar corporation filled with woke pride. So let's take a look at Thor Bait and Switch.
Filled with woke pride, okay?
Kids, get your popcorn now. Let me tell you the story of the space Viking, Thor Odinson. He was no ordinary man. He was a god.
Well, of course he's not an ordinary man. He's a god. And what do you mean he was a god?
But yeah, that could mean lots of things. Maybe Thor is past. God, I hope he doesn't die. Yeah, I hope they don't go that route. Cross my fingers. Or, you know, this is just a story of what Thor did.
I mean, he was a god.
After saving planet Earth for the 500th time, Thor set off on a new journey.
Yeah, to go find himself for the 500th time.
Well, let's face it. What, we last saw him in Endgame? He was a little lost in Endgame. He got fucked up after he fucked up with Thanos, and he did not treat himself well. So, yeah, I feel a little recovery is to be expected from that shit.
I want to jump in here and just remind everyone that I hated Fat Thor, and I really hate the blip.
He went from dead bod.
Well, I actually think the blip is interesting. They just didn't do anything with it. And I'd like to see them do something with it, other than just they're gone and then they're back. The blip's interesting. I mean, the blip essentially happened in the comic book. They just don't explore it because it takes place over a much quicker period.
God bod.
Okay, that was kind of funny.
And after all that, he reclaimed his title.
What? What the fuck?
He reclaimed his title.
What did you say?
His title.
What the fuck are you doing? No! No!
As the one and only Thor.
Well, it's deja vu all over again, and it's not only the season of the bait and switch, it is the era of the bait and switch, and it's not just Disney Marvel that's doing this. Documented on this channel, we have most recently had Doctor Strange 2.
And you have yet to explain how either Doctor Strange 2, what, was Wanda the bait and switch? Because Wanda's the fucking villain. It's a villain. And Layla definitely wasn't a bait and switch in Moon Knight because it's not the Scarlet Scarab show. She's not in 2 fucking episodes of it. How is she the main character?
Moon Knight, Hawkeye, Thor's brother Loki.
Hawkeye was always set up to be the 2 of them. And then Loki, she's not like new Loki. She's obviously set up to be MCU Enchantress, which is a major comic book character from the comic books, a major Thor villain. Yeah, she's obviously the Enchantress, and this is just her MCU origin.
We can go way back to Iron Fist Season 2 when Danny Rand gave his powers to Colleen Wing. We suspect this is going to happen in Kenobi. It practically happened in Boba Fett, He-Man, Halo. I could go on and on. The list is getting long, but it's also history repeating itself here at Disney Marvel. There is a lot of YouTubers out there that could just dust off their old female Thor videos about the comic books. Thor is not a mantle. Thor Odinson is a name.
Yes, it is a name, but in the graphic novel I've read, spoilers, he finds Jane to be worthy of that name and passes it to her as a mantle. It is actually Thor's choice because he thought she was exceptionally worthy.
They even say the name in this trailer.
Thor Odinson.
That is Thor, Odin's son, meaning...
Yeah, he doesn't grant her the name Thor Odin's son. He grants her the usage of the name Thor.
Son of Odin. So unless Natalie Portman's Jane Foster has a CGI Johnson to go along with her CGI arms, she's Jane Foster. Last seen in...
Are they CGI? They look pretty good to me. They might be CGI. I don't know. They look good, so does it matter?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe 3,122 days ago, to give you some kind of reference. That's over 8 years. I still owned my comic shop when she was last seen in the MCU. A character so important she was only mentioned once or twice and they didn't bother bringing her back for Endgame. Well, that's
Well, yeah, they did use the lead scene from Dark World for Endgame, I believe.
strange. I feel like I just watched a movie where something very similar to this happened. Oh yeah, Christine Palmer. We'll get back to that because I am not done.
Oh, spoke too soon.
Wait, is Doctor Strange 2, the Bane Switch, supposed to be Christine Palmer? Dude, pick your fucking narrative, man.
Jane?
Oh, be careful what you wish for. Listen, I've wanted Thor to wear a helmet this whole time. There was nothing wrong with the one he wore in the original Thor, and let's face it, the most comic book accurate Thor helmet we've seen is in Adventures in Babysitting. Well, just like in the final clip of the She-Hulk trailer where we got a very accurate depiction of the current Disney Marvel consumer. That's a very accurate depiction of the current state of Disney Marvel.
The old ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, Doctor Strange 2 was a huge bomb for him, wasn't it?
This brings us to the controversy. I guess we can call it Armgate.
That's quite big. Impressive.
Again, far be it from me to question a corporation like Disney, a company known for its integrity, its honesty, its consistency. The same company that allows Pablo Hidalgo and Pedro Pascal to vilify fans while firing Gina Carano.
Vilify fans. Okay, so losers in 1865, Confederacy. Losers in 1945, Nazis. Losers in 2020, Make America Great Again. I'm sorry, but based.
Carano for an Instagram post that she didn't write, but it didn't make it any less true, and a company that not only supports...
Hey, I've already stated this before, but I don't think Gina Carano should have been fired for any social media things. That being said, if she was such a great person, the people working with her would have stood up and said, hey, bring her back. Don't do this. They didn't. That tells you something about her.
Sports groomers hires them. And yes, once again, the same company that tried to pass off the Taskmaster as a woman. Although I have to hires them. And yes, once again, the same company Instagram post that she didn't write, but it didn't make it any less true, and a company that not only supports groomers, hires them. And
yeah, fucking groomers. Fuck you. I'm so sick of the term groomer. I can't tell you how many times I've been called groomer recently. It's such a fucking bullshit term. Get fucked.
Yes, once again, the same company that tried to pass off the Taskmaster as a woman. Although I have to admit,
Yes, and the problem was the execution, not that it was a woman. Name me one element of the Taskmaster that requires it be a man. Comic book accurate Taskmaster. Name me one element that requires it be a man. Is there something integral to the Taskmaster's character that requires that character have a penis. And I guess, whatever. There's nothing that requires that character to be a man. It was just a poorly written adaptation. That was the issue with it. Always was.
I am not a biologist. So when I see what looks like a cancerous growth on the back of poor Natalie Portman's arm as Jane Foster, I question if those are her real arms. And apparently, again, this makes some people very upset.
It doesn't make me upset. It looks like she did get fairly buff for the movie, I will say. I will also say I don't really care. Like, even if she didn't get super buff, fine. If they CGI'd it, fine. Do you think actors who have to get buff do that 100% naturally, that they don't at least do like some growth hormones or something? Because I bet you they do, because they're not doing like some sort of sporting event where they have to worry about fair play. Their goal is to look buff, so they'll just go for looking buff. I don't care if they're natural or not. I think it's cool if she worked out for those muscles. But even if she didn't, I kind of don't care, because the whole point is that she gets superpowers. It is what it is. As long as she does a good job in the movie, that's all I care about. She needs to give a good performance.
What's it been like? 3, 4 years?
8 years, 7 months, and 6 days, give or take.
Again, that's how long it's been since Jane Foster's been in the MCU, which is now the MCU. Another saying that upsets a lot of people. And that's...
Yeah, because it's sexist as fuck. Listen, the MCU... So what? Like, I loved my commenter who brought up, what is... if this is the MCU, was Phase 1 through 3 the male CU? Listen, it was male-dominated for a long time. For a ridiculous amount of time, honestly. So now, all of a sudden, we bring in some women. All of a sudden, oh, how terrible. And while we're on this shot, I do want to go ahead and say, he'll probably mention this. I think the helmet's fine, but it's obviously CGI and doesn't look great.
That's what this whole trailer is. Just cutting Thor down the size like we have...
How? Thor has to, like, regain himself, and it looks like that's what he does in this movie.
Haven't done this already, like we didn't do this with Doctor Strange, and in isolation...
We did that with Doctor Strange, and plus, listen, that's a normal thing. Protagonists usually have to have an arc, meaning they have to have something to overcome. That's how narratives work. Do you just want a protagonist who's perfect throughout the whole thing? Like, you complain about characters like Rey being a Mary Sue, I'm sure. But do you just want your male protagonist to be Gary Stus all the time? They have to have an arc. That's called writing. And the most important thing is to have your arcs be believable and don't feel like you're like just like repeating yourself. Now, they've done the Thor finding himself thing before. That being said, where we left him off in Endgame, it feels really natural that he would do something similar like that again. And I want to see what Taika Waititi does with it, because he is a fun filmmaker. I want to see what he does with it.
Maybe this could be an interesting story. Unfortunately, we've seen this story before, and we know how it ends.
Am I, sensing feelings?
I don't know. Are you capable of expressing any feelings?
Tessa Thompson's awesome. Shut the fuck up.
Oopsie, it looks like somebody forgot an effect shot here.
Yeah, good point. Maybe she didn't get super buff. Of course, maybe she was flexing in the other shot. Maybe she isn't flexing here. And like I said, I don't care. What? Does she need to be super buff for the whole movie? Jesus Christ, you put impossible standards on her. I mean, listen, Chris Hemsworth is, to my understanding, he's a workout freak. He likes to be buff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. Good on him. He's also a good actor. But that's his personal choice. Maybe Natalie Portman doesn't want to do that, and that's fine. As long as I believe her in the role. That's the most important thing. And that's going to come mostly down to acting. Now, obviously, she can't play Thor and be super. Well, I guess Chris Hemsworth put on a fat suit so you can do a fat Thor. But for your first outing, you probably shouldn't do a fat Thor. But like outside of that, as long as she like portrays the character well, I'm fine.
Ooh.
Well, you're right.
I gotta ask why Disney Marvel hates women and why do they always depict them like they're working at the DMV? Sorry, I need to be specific. The California DMV. And this brings us to King Valkyrie, which
What? You're the one gets judging women nonstop. I'm confused. What?
I think is one of the best examples of the sexism of Disney Marvel. Somehow you're striking a blow at the patriarchy by denigrating the position of queen. I really miss the days when everyone...
I don't care if they think the writing for the character that character would prefer to go by the title of king rather than queen, that's fine. And typically in the royal hierarchy, king is seen as being greater than queen. Granted, there are plenty of times where you don't have a king, you just have a queen, and then the queen would be the higher up. But if you have a king and a queen, it's assumed the king is the higher up. So what she's doing is she's actually taking the position of king and saying, no, I'm the higher up no matter what. And it's fine. I don't care.
On Hollywood was just coked out of their minds. Instead of sniffing their own farts as much as Joe Biden sniffs young women. Meanwhile, back to Tessa Thompson trying to emote.
Right.
The only ones who gods care about is themselves.
Finally get a good look at Christian Bale's Gore the God Butcher.
So this is my vow. All gods will die.
A character that, quite frankly, looked pretty badass in the comic books and doesn't look really that badass here.
Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like not doing a CGI character because it would be an easy character to just kind of CGI. But instead, they're clearly just wanting to do Christian Bale in makeup as much as possible. And I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I think Christian Bale's a good actor. Let his performance show.
I've heard descriptions ranging from Voldemort to an NPC to Uncle Fester. Oh, great. They have the mystical goats. They're being so accurate to the comic book. I can't wait to get a pop vinyl of those two. Well, let's go back to King Valkyrie, the race-swapped character from Norse mythology and the Marvel Comics, a character that
The race-swapped character from Marvel Comics. Do you honestly think they care about Norse mythology? Marvel Comics themselves barely care about Norse mythology, and they honestly, I would say they kind of don't. They just kind of use it. And I don't get what his issue with Tessa Thompson, because I think she's a great actress. I think she does a good Valkyrie. May not be a comic book accurate Valkyrie, but I enjoy the character.
I quite liked from a book that I like quite a bit, The Defenders. You see, Disney Marvel didn't think this character mattered, hence the lazy and superficial attempt at representation. I have a question about King Valkyrie. She hasn't even earned that title. She doesn't even deserve the title of queen. The last time I checked, we met her on Sakaar, working for the Grandmaster, enslaving people and leading them to their death. She hasn't atoned for this. She hasn't even shown she was sorry. Hell, it hasn't even been addressed.
I just want to say that was very, very...
Yeah, you got me thinking now. Okay, so maybe I should give you a point on that one. Yeah, no, she went through a definite rough patch. I'm not sure what atonement you're looking for. But yeah, she was a Valkyrie. She went through a very rough patch. She did, she essentially did bounty hunting for a time for the Grandmaster. Yeah, I'm not sure what atonement you're looking for as a bounty hunter. I don't know what she did to earn the position of king. I kind of assumed that Thor left her. Well, that's the thing. So, in Endgame, we see New Asgard. And Thor is the leader, but he's really dropped the ball. He's not doing shit. And Valkyrie just kind of took over. And that's what I assumed happened. She just kind of took charge and started running things. And that's how she got the position. I assume that's what happened. Will they explain it? I don't know.
Impressive what you did back there.
Oh, Quarter Black Garrett.
I like this one.
That was awesome. Thank you.
She's just my first bad guy.
Oh my God, she is so awesome. Now, hey, I could be wrong. There might be some actual character development in this film with Jane Foster that would be breaking from the norm with the MCU, but it's possible. Or she could just show up and female Thor will be a better Thor than Thor.
I doubt that. I feel like when I watch these guys, their insecurity shows so much. Just, oh my God, woman can't do things. It has to be the man. Why? I don't think Jane Foster will be a better Thor than Thor. But what if she is? What if she is? Is that such a big deal? If Thor is comfortable in his position, then he will have nothing but congratulations for her. And you, if you're comfortable in your position, should just be happy you got a cool Thor. You didn't get one cool Thor, you got two. Isn't that awesome? But instead, you're just going to be insecure because, oh, woman Thor, it's obnoxious, dude.
You never forget your first.
I really hate what they're doing to Thor. I really hate what they're doing to all the Marvel characters that we like, and I hate what they're doing to Jane Foster, and I just don't like Valkyrie in this. I wouldn't put it past the MCU at all to be insinuating that Thor was a virgin until he met Jane Foster. Nothing.
Whoa. Thor's 1,500 years old. He is not a virgin. That would be fucking ridiculous to actually put that out there. Yeah, I'm sure Chris Hemsworth has trouble getting some. Get a grip.
Nothing would surprise me at this point. Ooh, that looks bad. Now, of course.
That looks fine to me. What? That looks fine.
They might say it's unfinished, although this movie was supposed to be released at the end of 2021. It looks.
Yes, it's almost like there were COVID delays.
Looks like the kind of bad Photoshop you would see on a.
This pissed me off how these guys talk about, oh, Marvel's disorganized. They've postponed everything and they ignore fucking COVID. It's so fucking obnoxious.
School notebook or a knockoff DVD. It looks like Valkyrie has Zeus's lightning bolt, so you can probably assume that he's going to get butchered by the God Butcher, and those effects.
Well, let's face it. He is the God Butcher, and Zeus is in this movie. I think it's kind of obvious he's going to have to kill at least one god.
Effects do look CW bad.
I'm not like the other gods that kill.
Wow, Wonder Thor and Uncle Fester.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my God.
Hey, it's Nebula, one of my favorite Marvel characters, and one Disney Marvel hasn't gotten around to jacking up yet.
Because I have something worth fighting for.
Oh, isn't that a little heteronormative for Disney?
Okay, so you'll complain about gay characters, and now you're getting heterosexual characters, and you're going to complain about that too? Pick a lane, dude.
And of course, female Thor is the lead into the title card.
See who you are and take off your disguise.
I'm just talking to the comic book fans out there. Would you rather have goofy sitcom Disney Marvel Zeus or Snyder Cut Zeus who battles Darkseid?
And
Yeah, it's almost like Zack Snyder and Taika Waititi are very different filmmakers. Isn't that weird? And Zack Snyder's got his cool visuals, but so far I think Taika Waititi's more entertaining.
I want to talk about sexism in the MCU. Thor isn't here to be easy on the eyes for you.
Flick too hard, damn it!
I'm sure a few ladies are right now.
Should we help him? And eventually. Great.
There's so much paranoia in Hollywood thanks to the Me Too Time's Up movement that I bet a bunch of Disney execs jumped during the test screening when they heard a word that rhymed with drape. So in the last Marvel film I just watched, our titular character, Doctor Strange, was no longer the Sorcerer Supreme playing second fiddle to Wong, and
That was established in No Way Home. Jesus Christ.
Pining for an ex-girlfriend. And in the next...
Yes, it's about moving on. That's what that movie's about. He's moving on. It's about character growth. How did you miss it? It's almost like you're doing this intentionally for fucking views.
MCU film I'm going to see, our titular character, Thor, isn't the king of Asgard. He's playing second fiddle to Valkyrie, and he's...
Yeah, because he went through a depression after he could have killed Thanos and stopped the snap, but he fucking didn't. He went... I've talked about this before. He chose revenge over victory. He chose revenge over victory. He chose he'd rather have revenge than victory, and he got neither one. And that threw him into a fucking depression. Half the people of the universe died because he chose revenge. Pretty bad call on his part. Threw him in a depression. Fucked him up. Wasn't the best ruler at that moment. So Valkyrie picked up the slack. Good on her.
He's pining for an ex-girlfriend. Another thing that might be similar to Doctor
I'm sure you've never pined over an ex. We've all done it.
Strange 2 Mom, where we only went to 3 multiverses, is we're probably going to see about 3 gods get murdered, and the rest of the time we're going to be exploring Thor's midlife crisis. Let me know when you start noticing the patterns, and I know, of course, there's no such thing as the MCU.
You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
And I am fully aware of what a few blue check marks say about me on the internet, and I will just ask you this. What's closer to the truth? Is my film and television criticism of Disney Marvel product a pipeline to the alt-right, or are Disney Marvel writers smoking a crack pipe? In a different timeline...
You know what? If they're smoking a crack pipe, good on them. That could be fun. But yeah, you're definitely in a pathway to the alt-right. You are cringe as fuck.
I might appreciate some of the visual callbacks to the Thor comics they made in this trailer, including Eric Masterson's Thunderstrike. I like the fact that they attempted to make Thor's Walt Simonson battle armor and completely failed at it, but at least they tried.
I'm going to assume the CGI isn't finished on that. It's the She-Hulk situation again. It looks rough.
I like the Gore the God Butcher storyline from the comics written by the somewhat overrated Jason Aaron. It's just too bad that they're never going to adapt anything properly from the Kirby or even Walt Simonson era. Who doesn't like Chris Hemsworth as Thor? And I loved the first film. I actually liked Natalie Portman and Kat Denning in it. When it all plays out, Marvel Phase 4 is going to be to Marvel Phase 1 what the Disney Star Wars trilogy was to the prequels. Then there's Armgate. I really don't care. But the good news is CG...
He doesn't care, but he's going to go on and on about it. He is so full of shit.
Or real. Instead of Natalie Portman sewing the names of female directors who weren't getting hired in Hollywood or her own production company on a dress during the Oscars, she could just tattoo their names on her guns. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I will see you in the next video.
Wow, he is so cringe, and it really comes off as insecure. It really does. It's like, He's bad. He's just bad at this. He's really fucking bad at this. I don't know what else to say that I haven't said about Nerdrotic in my other videos. He's cringe as fuck. He is who he is. He can't handle strong female characters at all. He wants the male characters to be Gary Stus, and he wants the female characters to just be trad women or something. I don't know what. But it's cringe, and it's annoying. And sexist, most importantly.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you in prison.